worst secret identity keeper ever. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and today we've got a recap of the second episode of Batwoman. But before we get started, don't forget we have our first giveaway. We're giving away a Blu-ray copy of Spider-Man Far From Home. One thing you have to do to get in on the giveaway is be a subscriber, click like below, and leave a comment. So, let's dig into this episode. I have to open the recap with a little bit of a rant about secret identities. I would think after Bruce being so good at keeping his, that Kate Kane would understand how important it is to keep hers. Now, I know Kate herself didn't give it away, but wow, after 2 episodes, we already have 2 people that seem to know who she is. Maybe she doesn't plan on being Batwoman and doesn't really care, but it's one of those comic book tropes I wish the writers would respect a little better. Anyway, let's dig into the episode. This episode really doesn't waste any time setting up what Kate's goal for the episode is, to prove to her father that Beth is Alice. We did get some good Batwoman action early in the episode, and I did wonder, was that Christian Bale's voice? I don't know. I kind of had a little bit of a problem with it. She literally took a bullet to the chest and seemed surprised it was bulletproof. I think we'd work these things out ahead of time. Just me. Alice throughout the episode was great. Now, we find her at the beginning of the episode taking a couple hostages in some random house. Well, we think it's some random house. You know things aren't going to work out very good for these people, and although they're having a nice tea party, you know they're going to die. Alice is clearly upset she's missing her knife, and sends her cronies out to find it, which leads us back to Kate. Now we get a little bit of a scene of her reminiscing about Beth's disappearance, and her sitting up at night with a phone, waiting for her sister to call. The whole point of it was she was never giving up, and as a kid, she was still that way. So, Kate's plan is to use the knife to run some DNA, and this drives most of the episode. You would think something in the Batcave would work, but Luke has no idea how to use most of the equipment, so she takes it over to Sophie. After trying to convince Sophie to help her run a DNA test on the knife to prove it's Beth, and Sophie refuses, the scene turns a little intimate, and we talk a little bit about their interpersonal relationship. Sophie also gets a chance to question her shortly about her being Batwoman, and asks her if she was the woman in the costume who saved her, of which Kate denies, and says if she was wearing a costume, she'd be dressed as Wonder Woman. This conversation is quickly interrupted. Inexplicably out of nowhere come a whole van load of Alice's animal mass troops. They jump out, and they engage Kate and Sophie in a very quick and fast-paced action sequence which sees Kate dropping the knife. As quickly as they rolled in, they grab the knife and roll out, making it seem the knife was back in Alice's possession. By the end of the episode, we know that's not true. One of the things I find troublesome is Jacob. Alright, this guy is supposed to be a security specialist, and when his daughter comes to him and wants to know why the bad guys not only knew that she had the knife, but knew exactly where the knife was, is troublesome, and he just dismisses it. That to me seems a little odd, and a little bit of a forced element in the plot. You couldn't be that dumb and be in charge of a security company that big. Looking to find another way to obtain the DNA, even though she had lost the knife, she heads over to see Mary, and in her back alley hospital, she has one of Alice's cronies strapped to a bed, and she's giving him treatment, removing a batarang from his leg. Taking this opportunity, Kate actually lets him go, but only if he'll take a message back to his boss. And the message is waffles. Now obviously, that meant something between them, and this leads us to one of the bigger scenes moving forward. Now the Crows think they've actually ironed out where Alice is, but the location they actually have is the house where we saw the tea party earlier, and come to find out, it's actually their old home address, where Beth and Kate both lived as children. At this point, Commander Kane can't deny that this is actually Beth, and this leads us to the Waffle Park scene. Now, come to find out, waffles was a code word for a little stand in a park where they would go and have waffles as kids with their family. The scene plays out pretty interestingly, and clearly, Alice really is her sister. It's the only way she could have known this. Now, unfortunately, Sophie reveals where they're at, and the whole team of crows show up and capture Alice, but without killing her, thanks to Kate. The episode ends on a fairly typical cliffhanger. As Alice is being hauled away to be taken to Arkham, you see her van on the news, and there's actually a bomb that explodes that drops the van into the river. Now, early in the episode, Alice had talked about the trauma of drowning in the car before, so Kate, as Batwoman, dives in, uses some of her bat gadgets, including the rebreather and the cutting torch, to save Alice. But before the reunion can kind of be solidified, something explodes in the van, separating them and leaving Kate unconscious on the shore. Luckily for her, Luke Fox steps up into Batcave and gives her a little bit of a jolt, saving her from imminent capture by the Crows and the police. We close out the episode with a little note from Alice. Now, during the rescue scene, there was some eye contact made between the two of them as Alice woke up and looked directly at Batwoman, and the note reads, "You have our father's eyes." So, clearly Alice knows her identity too. Now, you would think that would be a great way to close out the episode, but we get one more twist. We never found out who stole the knife. There's a point in the episode that Alice says she doesn't have it, and then during the closing moments we realize who did. Catherine Hamilton Kane, her stepmother. Now, I'm unsure where this character is going because I didn't read her in the comics, but clearly she has her own agenda and might be our secret villain for the season. I did do a spoiler-free review, but I will say in this, I like this episode. It was a lot of fun, and I like how slowly they're developing Alice and not doing like a Freak of the Week. That got really old in Smallville when they were doing like the power introduction of the week. This is a much better way to develop it. I could be wrong. It could be a 2 or 3 episode origin story arc that we're seeing right now, and Alice will be gone by, say, episode 5, but we'll have to wait and see. Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you press like below, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.